Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to all.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll start our session today. So all feeling fresh on Ekadasi?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Just launching the sloka for today.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. How are you, Prabhuji?
Fine, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. With your mercy, I have to be wonderful, Prabhu.
What, Prabhu? You take Prabhupada's mercy.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. 1 second. Yeah, okay. So this is the sloka we're going to read today. Okay, you're all able to see? You're all able to see?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So this sloka is going to teach many things. First, is going to teach us how do we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and then importance of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Second, it is going to teach us the benefits of Srimad Bhagavatam. That means hearing benefits of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So we'll try to understand this, and then let's see what the Lord is trying to tell us. And let's also understand what Acharya is trying to tell us. Okay. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadadi Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sakagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jahatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namavom Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desatarine Nama Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanyaya Namne Gauratushe Namaha Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagatitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So last week we taught you one sloka. Anyone remembers?
Yes, Prabhu.
What's the first line?
Tasman Bharata Sarvatma.
Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma.
Bhagavan Ishvaro Harihi.
Bhagavan Ishwarari.
Kirtitavyascha Smarantascha Cha Tabhayam. Abhayam.
Smartavyascha.
Yes.
Smartavyascha Chatabhayam. Okay, excellent. 5 stars to Mataji.
Very
Okay.
good.
So now we will, just by simply practicing like this, we can have all these slokas memorized. Okay. So now we will read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text 37. So, we will also try to mug up the sloka in the same manner that we did last week. Pibantiye Bhagavata Atmanah Satam Katam Vritam Shravana Puteshu Samvritam Punantite Vishaya Vidushita Shayam Vrajanti Tacharana Saroruhantikam. So look at the meaning. Pibanti. Pibanti is to drink. Ye, those. Bhagavataha. That means of the personality of Godhead. That means devotees. Atmanaha, the most dear. Satam, of devotees. So Satam refers to the devotees who are practicing Bhakti Yoga, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they are considered to be the dearmost. Okay? Katamritam, the nectar of messages. Shravana Putesu, with their ear holes. So now we've heard drinking with mouth. Srimad Bhagavatam is recommending drinking with ear holes. That means through your ears. Sambritam, fully filled. Yeah? So it is not hearing partially, completely. Hearing with your ears. Okay? Then Punanti is to purify. There. Vishaya, material enjoyment. Vidushita Shayam, polluted aim of life. That is the third line. Punanti te Vishaya, Vidushita Shayam. Vrajanti, Tat Charana. Vajanti is to go back. To go back. Back where? Back home, back to Godhead. Okay. The Lord's Charana, the lotus feet. Saroruhantikam means near the lotus. So now he is giving an analogy for the feet. So that is the meaning of this sloka. So let's repeat this once again. Pibantiye Bhagavata Atmana Satam. Repeat.
Pibantiye Bhagavata Atmana Satam.
All of you should start at the same time. If you start in a different order, we can't have synchronized. Okay? Katamritam Shravana Puteshu Sambritam.
Katamritam Shravana Puteshu Samvritam.
Ite Vishaya Vidushita Shayam.
Punanti te Vishaya
Vishayam.
Prajanti Tacharana Saroruhantikam.
Prajanti Tacharana Saroruhantikam.
Hantikam.
Okay, so how to remember and mug up. So Bhagavata Atmanaha Satam. Satam refers to devotees. Okay? Pibanti is to drink. Yeah. So drink from the nectarian words or, Bhagavata spoken by the dear devotees of the Lord. So Pibantiye Bhagavata Atmana Satam. So that's how you remember the first line. Second line. What are you hearing? Katha Amritam. Shravana Puteshu Sambritam. So Shravana Puteshu means to hear with the ear holes. Yeah. So what are you hearing? Kathamritam, the loving pastimes and glories of the Lord. And how much are you hearing? Sambritam, fully, not even leaving one space. Yeah? So very easy to remember, no? Katamritam Shravana Puteshu Sambritam. That's the second line to remember. Okay. So now the first part is trying to tell us how to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. The next two lines, what does it say? It says, Punantite Vishaya Vidushita Ashayam. Vidushita Ashayam refers to, we have different activities in our life, day-to-day life. Those life are required for us to live in this material world, right? For example, you have to go to earn money. You have to do some material activities, some responsibilities, right? And while doing that, we also have the tendency to enjoy this material life. Yes, I want some comfort in this material world, some bodily comfort, some sensual comfort. So Vishaya Vidushita Asayam means those activities on the material plane. So Punanti is purification. So the first part is how to hear. The second part is the benefit of hearing. So when we hear, the first benefit is it purifies our day-to-day material life. That is the power of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay? So punanti te vishaya vidusitashayam. That's how you remember that. Okay? The fourth line, the second benefit of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, what is that? Vrajan tat charana. Charana means the feet. What sort of feet it is? It is like feet like a lotus. Saroru hantikam is lotus. Right? So where does lotus manifest? Lotus manifests from, even though, from water directly. There's no soil or anything like that. From water, it directly manifests. Right? So the Lord's lotus feet is like that lotus. From anywhere it can manifest, wherever there is devotion. Right? So you will be able to go back to God by just taking the shelter of the lotus feet of God. That is the second benefit of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vrajanti tat charana saroru hantikam. Right? So easy to remember. Now we practice once again.
Yes.
Pibanti bhagavata atmana satam.
Pibantye bhagavata atmana satam.
Tamritam shravanaputeshu samritam.
Tamritam swarnaputeshu samratam.
Punanti te vishaya vidushitashayam.
Punanti vishaya vidushitashayam.
Prajanti tat charana saroru hantikam.
Prajanti charana saroruhantikam.
So is remembering Bhagavata difficult?
Okay.
So this is a systematic way to read and remember. Okay. Now let's look at the beauty of this book. Okay. Those who drink through oral reception, you can't go mute, otherwise there's too much of sound. Okay. So those who drink through oral reception is to hear, audio. Oral comes from the word audio. Audio is hear, sound. Okay. Fully filled with nectarian message of Lord Krishna. What are you hearing? You are hearing wonderful messages of the Lord. Okay. The beloved of the devotees. So this is, you hear from devotees, that's what it says. Okay. Purified the polluted aim of life known as material enjoyment, and thus go back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's what the translation says. Okay. So now let's try to understand this sloka much better. Now in the first chapter, let's go to the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll just load that. So now, in the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, we read the glories of Sukadeva Goswami. What did he do? Here, in the first chapter, third sloka, look at this sloka. It says, Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam Sukha mukhat amrita drava samyutam Pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraho rashika bhuvi bhavukuha. What is this meaning? O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literature. That means, if you consider Veda Shastra as fruit of one's life, the fruit cannot be consumed if it is not mature. If it is premature, the fruit is difficult to consume. It's not good for health also. The fruit has to mature. And after maturing, it also has to ripen. Not just mature fruit, including ripening of the fruit. So, that is when you can relish Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is what Sukadeva Goswami is trying to explain to Parikshit Maharaj. What is power of Srimad Bhagavatam? It is not, it's a matured fruit of Vedic literature. That means if you take Veda Shastra, which has got many, many details, but all these details lead to one conclusion. What is the conclusion? Serving and worshipping of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, if you want to enjoy that love of Godhead, if you want to relish that prema of love of Godhead, he says, that is Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. It also says, it manifests from the lips of Sukadeva Goswami. So now we talked about mature fruit, then we talked about ripened fruit. Now we're talking about ripened, out of all the ripened fruits, which is the most tastiest fruit. So that tastiest fruit is referred by a devotee like Sukadeva Goswami, speaking that Bhagavatam from his lotus lips. Then what happens? The sweetness of Bhagavatam manifests much more beautifully. So that is the glory of the lips of Sukadeva Goswami. Sukha in the spiritual world is also called a parrot, right? So when parrot tastes a fruit, that means it knows which is the most tastiest fruit in a tree. So similarly, Sukha also knows which is the most tastiest Vedic literature that gives you perfect conclusion for human life. So hearing from Sukadeva Goswami's lips also nourishes one's life. And that is Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarine juice was already relishable for all, including liberated soul.
The water vechikrenga. Amrita 6:30 ra. Late cheskunta roju oka 5 minutes mundu leseki.
See, Prabhujis and Matajis, you're coming for this class, please pay attention. If you're going to do other things, talking, making all other activities, is not giving good respect to Srimad Bhagavatam and for yourself. So please don't do all these things. You will just disturb the class. Okay. So in the third sloka, we read what sort of a fruit Srimad Bhagavatam is. Now, in the second canto, Lord's teaching is how to drink that nectar. And that is this sloka. Okay. So these two slokas, 1.1.3 and 2.2.37, they go in tandem. They are interconnected slokas. Okay. So what does 1.1.3 teach us?
The ripened fruit.
Mature fruit of Vedic literature, Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah, it teaches the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam, why it is important to hear. And it is heard from a great devotee like Sukha. And what does this 2.2.37 teaches us?
How to hear and how
To hear and realize the benefits, correct? Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So now let's look at it. It says, Pibantiye Bhagavata Atmana Satam. So Satam refers to great devotees. Devotees who are realized in their life. So yesterday in Chaitanya Charitamrita class, I talked about how realization happened for Narada Muni. Right? So when souls who are realized, what does realized means? They've understood Krishna. They've understood their goal of life. Now they're also coming under the shelter of the Lord directly. So once someone comes under the shelter of Lord Krishna directly, no more Kala Chakra, no more horoscopes of theirs will work. It will be direct control of the Lord. That is the power of these devotees. So because they come under direct shelter and control of the Lord, none of the material elements which are inferior in nature, they can influence the life of a devotee. Okay? So that is called as a realized soul. A realized soul who knows the truth, who knows each and every aspect of the Lord, and who is completely directly under shelter of the Lord, is called a realized soul. For him, eating, sleeping, thinking, breathing, everything is Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, that person is called a Satam. Okay, so now we have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam through our ears. From whom? From such a person, a Satam. Why? Because he is very dear to Krishna. Krishna says, my dear devotees are very, very dear to me. That means he would offer all benedictions for the pleasure of his devotees. Now, how is it true? See, for example, you look at life of Srila Prabhupada, right? According to Shastra, we are supposed to chant 64 rounds every day in order to attain the mercy of the Lord. And that's what people recited even 150 years back. 150 years back, if you see, why 150, 100 years back? Everyone will have to recite 64 rounds a day. No choice. So if 16 rounds takes about 2 hours, 64 will take about 4 into 2, 8 hours a day to realize the Supreme Lord. But now look at this Lord, how he, can manifest the mercy requested by his devotees. So when Prabhupada says, shrink that 64 into 16 because that's what the people of Kali Yuga can follow. Lord accepts. Lord accepts the 16 rounds that we chant is equivalent to 64 rounds chanted in the previous times. Why? Because they're very dear to Supreme Lord. That's the power that we have to understand. Hence, Vibhantiye Bhagavata Atmana Satam. That means that devotee, when he speaks Srimad Bhagavatam, and you hear that Srimad Bhagavatam fill your ears completely, your heart will be nourished. Okay, nourished with many, many things. The first nourishment is that you will be able to understand Krishna step by step, slowly. The realization will be saying, every day there is progression in my life. I'm able to understand the Lord more. I'm able to make corrections to my life more and more. It's all the mercy of the Lord. That's the power of it. So you have to hear in this manner. Okay. Then it says, Kathamritam Shravana Puteshu Samritam. Now, whenever we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, we have the tendency, you can watch this tendency, true or not. Come to the temple, you will see many devotees actually sleeping in Srimad Bhagavatam class. Actually, they get more sleep during the class. So you are not supposed to sleep in a class. You're supposed to be very attentive. In fact, what you should do, if you're hearing any online classes also, you should shut your doors, your room, lock it. No disturbance, no phone calls, no speaking to others. You should prepare notes out of what has been discussed in class and meditate on it. It is very important. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnuhu, Smaranam. What is that Smaranam? The Smaranam is whatever you heard, whatever you recited, you meditate on it. That is Smaranam. Smaranam is not something independent. So that's very, very, very important. So when we hear from such great souls, the pastimes, the lovely pastimes of the Lord, and we hear it fully in a scrutinizing manner, in a manner that clears all our doubts, in a manner that helps us to fix ourselves on devotional services, in a manner that it slowly reduces our material activities. And that's the perfect way to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. That's what the sloka is saying. Right? So now we have to figure out, okay, where am I standing? What is my life? And what should I do? Hatamritam Shavana Puteshu Samritam. Okay. When we hear Srimad Bhagavatam from great souls, fully filling our ears with nectar, the pastimes of the Lord and his associates, with full dedication, then what happens? This dedication means consistent. That means you should hear Srimad Bhagavatam not once in every Monday I will hear Prabhuji, or once a month you're hearing, or once a while you're hearing. No. Srimad Bhagavatam must be heard every day. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. What is Nityam? Nityam means every day. Every day 30 minutes is enough. I'm not even asking 2 hours, 3 hours. 30 minutes, 40 minutes, you hear. So if one makes a life hearing Srimad Bhagavatam like this every day, then what happens? There is a change of consciousness for him. There's a change of lifestyle for him. And that's what is the next sloka saying. It says, Ponnantite Vishaya Vidushita Shayam. What does this line tells us? It tells every one of us have material activities, right? We have to go to a job because we have to earn some money. We have to make a living for ourselves and some social responsibility because we are living in this material world, which is societal in nature. We also have lots of activities and desires for ourselves. So, all these things tells us that each one of us are working towards our goals of life. Student has goals. Hey, I want to study well. I want to become a doctor, scientist, engineer, an environmentalist. So like that, there are many, many goals, each one of us. Someone wants to become a musician. So goals are there. So nothing wrong with goals. And nothing wrong with earning money because you have to live in this world. So what does Srimad Bhagavatam do? While we carry on our material activities and duties, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam will purify our life, will purify our material activities, will purify our thought process. It purifies all the material goals that we have in our life and connect our activities towards Krishna. What Krishna says in the Gita, he says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anushmara yuddhayacha. So he says, Tasmat, therefore, you have to perform your duties. What is the duty? For example, what's the duty of Arjuna? Yuddhayacha. He is a fighter, he has to fight. You perform your duties. But while performing your duties, mam anushmara, you remember me. You offer your duty as a pleasure for me. And that's what we have to do. And that is a change that will happen in one's life. Otherwise, the desire is like a forest fire. The first sloka of Sikshashtakam. The forest fire continuously burns. The desire is so intensively burning and it is continuously coming one after the other. So, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam will purify our activities. Okay, first stage of purification, consciousness. Hey, how long I have to perform my material activities? What all I can perform? See, for example, someone could perform earning money by cheating others, by causing harm to others, by manipulating, all these things. When he hears Srimad Bhagavatam, what happens? Oh, yeah. So I should stop all these things. That means he becomes a refined person. See? The propensity to exploit others goes away. As the refinement goes on to higher and higher stages of life, then what happens? Even in his activities, in practice of devotion, while cooking, the earlier cooking was sense gratification cooking. Now cooking was for the pleasure of the Lord and devotees. See, the same cooking is going on, but purification has happened. Our small habits, we may tell lies, we may be unclean, we may be having a consciousness of manipulative in nature. Even these things alter in our life. They also change, they purify. The next level of purification, when we are working or serving the deities, we will also be very careful in our details. Hey, follow these rules, follow these regulations. Ensure that you offer the best to the Lord. And that's a change of consciousness. So, Bhagavatam does this to one's life. And it is not that like a switch. Oh, Prabhu, I read one sloka of Bhagavatam today. Am I purified? No, it doesn't happen like that. When Bhagavatam is heard regularly on a day-to-day basis, slowly our life, our activities, our kleshas, anarthas, everything, they get changed and our life gets purified. Our material activities get purified. Our material thoughts get purified. That means Bhagavatam doesn't say, okay, leave everything, go to the forest. It says, while you perform your, that's why I took the sloka. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anushmar yuddhayacha. Arjuna, perform your duties. While you perform your duties, connect with me. So similarly, we perform our material duties, but we connect Krishna with us at all times. And that's important. So, this is the first benefit of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. It purifies one's life fully and makes one eligible to realize and become God consciousness fully. That's the power of Srimad Bhagavatam. And how can you do that? You can do that only by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in association of devotees, not without association of devotees. Yeah? So that's the first benefit of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay? Now let's look at the next benefit. The next benefit is this. Vrajanti tat charana saroruhantikam. So what does this say? It says, the lotus feet of the Lord, charana, saroruhantikam means, I told you about it is the lotus, right? The feet of the Lord is like a lotus. Now, what does lotus refer to? Lotus refers to new life, always. Knowledge and life. So, the feet of the Lord is like a lotus. Just by taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, we will be able to attain that lotus feet of the Lord, which is non-attainable by any number of yogis, mystic yogis, or all other cults of religious principles. This can be achieved by following these methods, very, very simple manner. What Krishna says? Krishna says, Antakalam, Sharor Hantikam. Antikam means it is the last day of our life. Antam, Antakalam. So you achieve that lotus feet after the last day of your life. That is the power of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So the sloka that we know from the 8th chapter, what does it say? Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. It says Antakalam. Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam on a regular basis prepares oneself for Antakalam. When the last day of our life comes, it can come in any manner. It can come in a realized manner, like how our Maharaj just left his body recently. So just like how he was given the opportunity to hear, be in association with devotees, practice, and then leave the body in remembrance of Krishna, he went back home, back to Godhead. There could be other methods of hospitalization. There could be other methods of sudden deaths. But doesn't matter. What matters is, what have you done to reach that Antakalam? You can reach Antakalam in a crooked manner also, but you can reach Antakalam as performance of pure devotion service. So Krishna says, when Antakalam comes, if you're able to remember me, then you come back to me. You will associate with me. You'll live with me. If not, whatever that Antakalam is nothing but the derivative or samman bonum of our material activities till we reach Antakalam. So, if we perfect our life by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam every day, then Antakalam will be very smooth. We will just remember the Lord. And our heart would have been so renounced in this life. Just leave this body and take his lotus feet at Goloka Vrindavan. So this is the specialty of this loka. So what we should do? We should marry this loka. We should write this loka on a white board or a white paper and stick it in our kitchen, in our dining hall, in our bedroom. Every day when we pass across this loka, okay, I have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. I have to remember the Lord's lotus feet. This is my life. This is the goal of my life. Then what happens? You will never deviate. Okay? Sounds good? Sounds simple?
Haribol.
Yes, Prabhu, very much.
Okay, so now we'll take quick questions. We will see if I can answer those questions.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
While telling, you said this Nityam Bhagavatam purifies our small mistakes, anarthas, manipulations which we do daily basis. And also you mentioned kleshas, Prabhu. So kleshas means adhyatmika, adhibhautika, adi daivika. So that is not fixed. That means, Prabhu, for an individual, it also changes, you're trying to say?
As you practice, as you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and as you practice Bhakti Yoga, you will see that your material life also will change. Slowly that will get renounced and go away. You will completely become spiritualized. That's what. Huh?
So this Adi Bhautika, which was there in me, also will get changed over a period of time.
Yeah, they won't influence you any further.
Because of the love towards the Lord's worship.
Because you come under the shelter of the Lord directly. So it is like, that is the sloka. Ye yata mam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamiham. The Lord says, I will reciprocate according to your practice of devotion. Okay, now what does the devotion means? Let's say you take a cup of water. You fill the cup with water full up to the brim. Okay, that doesn't mean there's no space. That means if I say that water is material activities and the cup is your body and you, okay? So now you and your body, it's fully engaged in material activities. No space for spiritual activities now. Okay, so now I remove 10% of water and introduce spiritual life into that space. So now 90% material activities, 10% spiritual activities. That 10% is what Krishna influences you.
Okay, Prabhu.
Because that's what the time you gave him.
Yes, Prabhu.
So now what happens, as you practice Srimad Bhagavatam, as you practice devotion, and as you grow older and older, you will slowly leave away and come out of your family life. Then what happens, the 10% keeps on increasing and it may become 95%.
Yes, Prabhu.
Material activities are only 5%, just for maintenance and things like that here and there. Right? So you see, what the cup was full of material activities has become just 5%. That's all, nothing else.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Dandavat.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, this daily hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, will it produce change automatically, or we have to endeavor, Prabhu, and change ourselves?
First of all, you have to endeavor. That's when you can hear. Okay. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam hearing, what does it do? It's totally, brings in devotion in you. Okay. Now, but you have to come forward to practice service, devotional service. If you just hear and don't do devotional service, then that is not going to attract the mercy of the Lord.
Yes.
So you have to take up service. There is many services, right? You can take any of the services and keep on doing that service. When that service is done, you should do that service without any expectation. That is the key. Right?
Yes, Prabhu.
So let's put it again. Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly brings in devotion in you.
Yes.
Once devotion manifests in your heart, you're going to express that devotion in the form of service. Loving service to the Lord and His associates.
Yes. Prabhu.
When you perform loving service to the Lord, you get completely purified of your activities.
Yes. Prabhu.
And that is the stage for going back to home, back to Godhead. If you hear devotion, if you develop devotion but not perform service, it's not going to help you. So how, for example, I want water. Okay, so what I did, I dug a borewell in my land. Water came very nicely. Oh, excellent. I got this water. I also found, oh, my other neighbors and others, they did not get water, but I got water. Okay, good. You're very lucky. Because water is not available easily anywhere, what you did, you put a grill gate and locked that borewell so that water should not be used by anyone. Okay. Now, what happened to this water? Borewell after some years, it got dried up. A borewell which is not used becomes dried up. So similarly, the devotion must be put to practice. And that is devotion service.
Yes, Prabhu.
Clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Yes. Welcome, Mataji. Anyone else has any doubts, questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Dandavat
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. Prabhu, this is out of the subject. Last week I was not available. So I want to know the verse which was covered last week so that I will try to read, understand and hear again.
Okay, we will send that verse, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
I will
Thank
send
you.
the verse in the WhatsApp message.
Okay, Prabhu.
The verse is Tasmat Bharata Sharvatma
Yes, Prabhu.
Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Chatabhayam.
Very well.
It tells that the Supreme Lord, who is living in the hearts of all the living entities,
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
He is the Supreme Bhagavan.
Yes, Prabhu.
By constantly hearing Him, by constantly practicing devotion service on Him, constantly remembering Him,
Yes.
all the fear in our heart, all the fear of failure, fear of success, fear of this, fear of that, all fear, they get vanquished.
Very well.
So that is the power of
devotional service.
yes,
Remembrance to the Lord.
So that is a sloka we discussed a lot in last class.
Okay.
So I will send you the class sloka and sloka number to you. You can read. You can practice it.
Wonderful. Very nice. Especially this class was very wonderful, Prabhu. Neatly explained. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Welcome, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Yes,
So I would recommend you, all of you, to remember the sloka 2.2.37 as well as 1.3. This both. One is trying to tell us what is Srimad Bhagavatam and how is it a mature fruit and where should we hear from. Okay. Second, this sloka tells us how to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. How to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam and what are the benefits of that hearing. It tells about this sloka. So try to mug up both these slokas. Okay. So shall we practice the sloka?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, let's give about 10 volunteers, lucky volunteers who come first served, to come and read this sloka. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.2.37. पिबन्ति ये भगवत आत्मनः सतां कथामृतं श्रवणपुटेषु संवृतं पुनन्ति ते विषयविदूषिताशयं व्रजन्ति तच्चरणसरोरुहान्तिकम्. हरे कृष्ण.
Very nice.
Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam 2.
No voice, Mataji?
No voice, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Now, Prabhu.
Now okay.
पिबन्ति ये भगवत आत्मनः सतां कथामृतं श्रवणपुटेषु संवृतं पुनन्ति ते विषय विदूषिताशयं व्रजन्ति तच्चरण सरोरुहान्तिकम्. हरे कृष्ण.
Very good.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु. पिबन्ति ये भगवत आत्मनः सतां कथामृतं श्रवणपुटेषु संवृतं पुनन्ति ते विषयविदूषिताशयं व्रजन्ति तच्चरणसरोरुहान्तिकम्. हरे कृष्ण.
Excellent.
पिबन्ति ये भगवत आत्मनः सतां कथामृतं श्रवणपुटेषु संवृतं पुनन्ति ते विषयविदूषिताशयं व्रजन्ति तच्चरणसरोरुहान्तिकम्. हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण. भागवतम 2.2.37. पिबन्ति ये भगवदात्मनः सदां कथामृतं श्रवणभूतेषु संवृतं पुनन्ति ते विषयविदूषिताशयं व्रजन्ति तच्चरणसरोरुहान्तिकम्. हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण. भगवद गीता 2.37. पिबन्ति ये भगवता आत्मनः सतां कथामृतं श्रवणपुटेषु संवृतं पुनन्ति ते विषयविदूषिताशयं व्रजन्ति तच्चरणसरोरुहान्तिकम्. हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण. पिबन्ति ये भगवता आत्मना सतं कथामृतं श्रवणपुटेषु संभ्रतां पुनन्ति ते विषया विदूषिताशयं व्रजन्ति तच्चरण सरोरुहान्तिकाम्. हरे कृष्ण.
Okay.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु. भगवत श्रीमद् भागवतम 2.2.37. पिबन्ति ये भगवता आत्मनः सतां कथामृतं श्रवणपूतेषु संवृतां पुनन्ति ते विषयविदूषिताशयं व्रजन्ति तच्चरण सरोरुहान्तिकम्. हरे कृष्ण. थैंक्स.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी. भगवद गीता भागवतम 2.2.237. पिबन्ति ये भगवत आत्मनं सतां कथामृतं श्रवणपुटेषु संवृतं पुनन्ति ते विषय विदूषिताशयं व्रजन्ति तच्चरणसरोरुहान्तिकम्. हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण. पिबन्ति ये भगवतः आत्मनः सतां कथामृतं श्रवणपुटेषु संवृतं पुनन्ति ते विषया विदूषिताशयं व्रजन्ति तच्चरणसरोरुहान्तिकम्. हरे कृष्ण.
पिबन्ति ये भगवता आत्मना सतां कथामृतं श्रवणपुटेषु संवृतं पुनन्ति ते विषयविदूषिताशयं व्रजन्ति तच्चरणसरोरुहान्तिकम्.
Okay, excellent. So we'll also recite this third sloka, which is very, very important. So let me repeat, just follow with me. Okay. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam.
Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam.
Sukhamukat amrita drava samyutam. Sukhamukat amrita drava samyutam. Pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam. Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam.
Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam.
Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha.
Bhukaha.
So yeah, we can have recitation of this also. So whoever did not get a chance in the previous sloka 2.237 can recite now.
Nigamak kalpataror galitam phalam shukamukhad amrita drava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhur aho rachika bhuvi bhavukaha.
Very good. Others?
Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam. Nigamakalpataror galitam phalam Shukamukadamritam dravasamyutam Pibata Bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha.
Very
Hare
good.
Krishna.
Others?
Hare Krishna. Bhagavatam 1.13. Nigamakalpatarorgalitam palam Sukamukad amruta drava samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam rasam alayam Murho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. Hare Krishna.
Bhavukaha. Very nice.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.3. Nigamakalpa tarorgalita phalam sukha mukad amruta drava samayutam pipata bhagavatam rasam alayam muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha.
Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.3. Nigamakalpatarorgalitam phalam Sukamukadhamrutam dravasamyutam Pibata Bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita 1.1.3. Nigamakalpatarorgalitam phalam Sukamukad amrita drava samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraho rasika bhuvi
Bhavukaha. Very nice.
Hare Krishna. Nigamakalpatarorgalitam phalam Shukamukad amruta drava samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhuraho rasika bhuvir bhavukaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Nigamakalpataror dalitam phalam Sukamukadamruta drava samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam rasam alayam Muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavakaha.
Bhavukaha. Okay. Good.
Bhavakaha.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Please,
Shall I Prabhu?
read.
Nigamakalpataror galitam palitam
Phalam.
palam Sukha mukad amruta drava samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. Hare Krishna.
Okay. See,
Can
you
I
see?
try, Prabhu?
Yes, sure, Mataji.
Nigamakalpataror galitam phalam Sukamukad amruta dhruvam samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam rasamalayam Muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha.
Wow, excellent. So you see, you all recited two big slokas. It was so easy. And if you understand how we read this sloka, this 2.237, we just went by the meaning, we recited. Went by the meaning, we recited. It will stay in our heart. Once it stays in our heart, we can recall it. Anytime we can recite it. Krishna is called Uttama Sloke. What is Uttama Sloke? Uttama Sloke means you glorify the Lord with the best of the slokas, top of the slokas. So what do? Every day when you get up in the morning, you finish your rounds or when you take bath, everything, then you're getting into the altar, you're opening the altar, right? Once you open the altar, you will wake up the Lord. Wake up the Lord through the acharyas. Once the Lord is woken up, immediately all the slokas that you learned in Srimad Bhagavatam, this which that glorifies the Lord, directly. Make a list of those slokas, 10, 15, 20. That is good enough. You don't need to do 100 also. 15, 20 slokas, you make a list. Just recite all of them with a lot of love for the Lord in front of the altar. That's it. You've made up your life. Your life will change. You can practice this also at the temple. You will visit the temple once in a while, right? When you visit the temple, you go in front of the altar. You see the Lord deity, beautiful deities of Jagannath, Radha, Krishna. Just recite this sloka. Right? So like that, you will just attract the mercy of the Lord. So Krishna is called Uttama Sloka. One's duty is to offer these wonderful slokas for the pleasure of the Lord. So do that. This is devotion. And reciting the sloka is devotional service. That's it. So practice these small things. You will see in a matter of a year, 2, 3, 4, your devotional and spiritual life will be a great journey. Okay? So I wish you all the best. Today is Ekadasi. Have a wonderful day. And remember these 2 slokas. On Ekadasi, you all practice 2 slokas, which is really, really wonderful. So practice them and have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Gurudev. Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa
Sindubhya vacha.
Nam Pavadebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Vaishnava Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Tat Sat. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Jai Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you,
Dandavat
Prabhu.
Hare
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavadam Prabhu, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hari Hari.
Hare Krishna.